Robles, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
It's been a while trying to get you on here. Actually, you and one of our friends. I'll say it's Gabe. We'll leave it at that. Gabe, we're gonna get you on here, Gabe. Don't worry.
And Lee also.
Yes.
There's the three of us, the three musketeers.
Oh, heck yeah. We gotta get you guys on. It'll be really good. But we're getting towards the end of the year. Thanks for driving in, man. I know you live pretty far. It's a beautiful evening out. So thank you so much for being here.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
But dude, we go back a little bit.
We go way back.
Yeah, I think we first met in paramedic school, right? At Saddleback.
Yeah.
That was like, what, 2010?
Yeah. It was right after I got hired with OCFA in 2008. Did my year of probation, then kind of like a year on the floor after probation, then went to medic school.
Can I just tell you that I did not enjoy any part of it? Yeah, I did not want to go.
For me, it was horrible. So
Just so people know, you can, at least here in SoCal, you can get hired as a firefighter or firefighter medic.
right.
Andrew and I both got hired as just firefighter EMTs. We weren't paramedics. So after a while, you've been on past probation. You can, at least I think you probably had a test. I know OCFA does that, but where I came from, I was just told, hey, you're going to paramedic school. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Jeez, dude. Okay.
Yeah.
It was terrible. I hated it.
It was a good learning experience for me because as an explorer, you see that I was an explorer for LA County.
What?
Yeah.
Where?
In Azusa.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I was in
post 16.
I was in Bell Gardens, post 3.
Oh, dang.
Yeah, dog, let's go. I didn't know you did LA County Explorers.
Yeah, I was an explorer, and we'd have our meetings, and the engine would leave, the squad would leave, and I'd go on ride-alongs, and since then I was like 16. I'm like, I want no part of paramedicine. Like, it does not look fun.
No.
I always envied the engineer, so I knew I know I don't want to be a medic.
Engineer, let's go.
Yep.
Best spot, dude.
100%. So I always saw the engineer, and I was like, that's where I want to be. That's what I want to do. And did a hand crew thing, worked for LA County and their hand crew for a handful of years.
That's FSA, isn't it?
FSA, yeah.
You're an FSA? Andrew, how did I not know all this? I've known you for years. You're such a quiet, humble dude. What year were you in the FSA? So people know, let's do this. What does FSA stand for?
Fire Suppression Aid. So it's basically a hand crew firefighter hired by LA County Fire Department.
Okay,
so,
is that, and is, I guess the best way for some people may know, Forest Service has hot shots. That's kind of like LA County Fire's version, right?
Right, yeah. Okay. So we're basically a hot shot without the hot shot qualifications.
Okay.
So we have ground crews, we have air crews. So there's 4 different camps, paid inmate camps throughout the county, and some of them are ground crews, some of them are helitack crews.
Okay.
And there's helicopters stationed at those camps. The bells go off. If it's for a medical aid, the helicopter will take off by itself, go handle whatever the medical aid is.
Okay.
If it's a brush fire, we'll all load up on the helicopter and fly to the fire.
Okay.
Land. We're typically there at the same time or before the fire engines. So we're just by ourselves, no water, no nothing. Come up with a game plan. Yeah, we'll
attack.
Yeah, we'll circle the fire a few times, get a game plan, look at the roads. Okay, what can we tie into? What's the
smart? Actually.
With the terrain, all that stuff.
Yeah.
See where we can fire off. That whole thing.
Yeah. What year was that?
So I was at Rio Hondo taking classes I graduated in 2000, 2001, about 2001, got hired as, so I went through Rio Hondo's wildland training.
Oh, dude, you're in good company. So Class 5. You're like 1
or 0. So it wasn't even like a thing.
Right.
It was like, hey, which one of you guys want to do this wildland thing? And we're like, I guess I'll do it. There was no application process, no nothing.
I will say that Wildland Fire Academy was by far, I think, the toughest I've ever been through.
Yeah.
It was very, very difficult.
I think it's gotten tougher since I went through.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because we were just trying to figure it out.
Right.
Yeah, we were hiking and taking tests and whatever, and I don't know any different.
Dude, every day it was either some arduous 10-mile run.
Yeah.
Or it's just this circuit of push-ups, sit-ups, pull-ups, and sprints with 4-inch hose and then tower runs.
Yeah.
Dude, for like 4 hours. It was great. This went from like January till June.
Right.
It was a lot. I'll tell you this though, you come out in shape.
Yeah.
You come out a freaking style.
Definitely a butt kicker. Yeah. Probably the most tired. Maybe not the most tired I've ever been, but the thing with that is it was new. I had never been put under that stress where like you're hiking, your legs are tired, using muscles I've never used before. And so it was a new experience. So went to Rio Hondo's wildland training.
Okay.
Then got hired with their Type 2 hand crew through the college.
Right, that's Roadrunners.
That's Roadrunners, okay. Yeah. And then basically backed up Dalton when they would go out on a call on a fire. We'd go back up their station, or we'd get Type 2 work assignments around the state. But so did that for a year, and then got hired with LA County in 2002.
Okay.
So I actually turned 20 in their academy.
Yeah, that academy's
that was tough.
That's no joke.
That was tough.
They drop a lot of candidates out of
there. Yeah, right? And it was in Santa Clarita at Camp 9. So elevation, it was tired, thin air, all that stuff. And I lived in La Puente, and so our training was up there in Santa Clarita. So I just stayed there all week.
What's the drive time? Like, how long is that, La Puente to Santa Clarita?
With no traffic, it's like an hour and 10 or something like that. It's not too bad, but I'm not gonna.
You're gonna do that every day, 5 days a week.
Going there before traffic starts is not a big deal, but coming home is like 2.5 hours. Ooh. Yeah. Passing through Pasadena, all that. It's
after just being, ran and hiking on your 10s and 18s all day.
Yeah.
Oh, that's rough, dude. Yeah, I would have stayed too.
Yeah.
I would have stayed.
Yeah, so I stayed there. And then after that academy, I actually got stationed in Santa Clarita at Camp 9. Okay. So I kind of never left. And then I just continued staying there. I would just come home on my days off. I actually considered getting mail there because guys who live far, they were staying there with me and they would get their mail. I'm like, oh, it's not a bad idea. I'm
smart.
Basically here most of the time.
Yeah.
So, then it was at Camp 9 for 2.5 years.
Dude, you're on the helicopter, right?
Mm-hmm.
How rad was that?
It was amazing. It was so cool. It was so cool.
I'll just say, allegedly, I may have taken a ride on one of those helicopters a few years back.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Some class had to help teach. I'll just leave it at that. Mm-hmm. I was up there, and I took a ride.
Yeah.
And that was the most incredible. When he was like going over the ridges and back down, you just felt like you were floating for a second? It was wild. Yeah,
they would do that. So I guess their hiring requirements, you need to have a certain amount of flight hours. Mm-hmm. And in order to get those hours, a lot of times you need to come from military. So a lot of the guys were like Vietnam vets, those kind of things. That's why they're racking up all these hours.
Yeah.
So these guys were crazy.
Well, they got some skill.
Yeah.
They got some real skill.
Yeah, they got skill. And it's cool to watch it when they're performing those skills when you're in it. Yeah. Like it's a whole other story.
Dude, I was just saying, how crazy is that a Vietnam vet who's been through like the shit, right? And he's flying, our little punk butts around with shovels. And we're all stressed out. Like, we haven't seen anything compared to what that guy's probably been through, right?
Yeah.
And he's flying you in. It's like, I'm not going to say a word. I'm just going to do what I'm told. It is what it is, man.
Yeah.
That's wild.
It's a good experience for sure.
Yeah.
Being 20, 21, 22.
Yeah.
Doing that kind of stuff. My buddies are still working at Tilly's,
Right.
So
you're actually doing a job that's giving you experience for what your future goals are. You're learning a lot as far as teamwork, your work ethic, working hard. I would say that for me, my career started in the Forest Service. That taught me a lot about hard work. That taught me a lot about being gritty in my work, working as a team member, but also working with all types of people.
Yeah.
Because Forest Service gets you get all range of people, and you got to be able to work with them. So there's a lot from that time in my life that I'm very thankful for. At the time, you're like, dude, this sucks. I'm getting I think I was like a GS 3 or 4, which was like $7.54 an hour. It was terrible paid.
How do you remember that?
I don't, because it was so shocking.
I don't even know what I get paid right now.
Yeah, I remember. Well, because I remember, I just remember everyone's like, oh, they pay this, that. But I thought, look, man, I need the experience. And it was either that or join the military. I can't afford to pay for school, so I got to figure something out. And I did that. And I remember looking at the pay. I was like, yo, this is radically low. Like I'm getting paid $7.54 an hour to pound dirt and risk my life. Like, This is crazy, but it ended up being such a fun time.
Yeah.
You know, it is what it is. But
yeah, huge learning experience. You learn how to work hard. You learn how to work around different people when you get tired. Some people have different thresholds when they're tired and like shorter fuses or whatever. And you just learn how to navigate that.
Yeah.
Different backgrounds, all that stuff. So it prepares you really well for the station.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I remember being on probation from the department I came from, and you know, guys would be like, "Oh, this guy screwed up, man. He forgot to put the cheese out during lunch." And it's like, dude, last year I was eating a brown bag out of the dirt, and you're gonna bitch about cheese right now?
Right.
Like, come on, man.
Yeah.
You guys got it made. You got air conditioning, internet.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I hear guys complain. You know, on the municipal side, I'm like, it ain't that bad.
Yeah.
It ain't that bad, boys.
Yeah, in comparison, I got to the floor with our department now, and it was the workload was way less.
Yeah.
You know, so coming from the hand crew, you know, it's busy work all day long. It's working out, hiking, running, cutting line, project work. You know, peeling off the wax off the floors, reapplying it every week, like all that kind of thing. You know, and then I get to probation and I do an eighth of that, and they're like, "Oh my God, you're like the hardest working rookie,
freaking rock star."
I'm like, all right, I just pulled some weeds out of a planter, but
no big deal.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I remember in the Forest Service, they would have a bunch of materials delivered because we'd make and build everything, and it was to make cement or whatever. And there's a big pile of rocks I got. They're like, "Yeah, why don't you rake that pile of rocks to the other side of the driveway?"
Yeah.
Okay. Took a few hours, did that, moved everything. Got back down at lunch. They said, "Cool, good job. Why don't you rake it back?" I was like, "What? Are you freaking serious right now?" Yeah, that's that busy work BS, dude. I'm not down with that. I think that's so stupid. That's a waste of time. Yeah,
our work it wasn't like that. It was actually good work. It was hard work, but it was good work. We'd go jackhammer out concrete, pour new slabs, build retaining walls, that kind of stuff. So it was good.
A lot of good skill, I'm sure, that you use in your everyday life now.
Yeah.
Because I didn't learn any of that stuff growing up.
Yeah, me neither.
And then they're having all the material delivered, like, "Yeah, we're gonna pour our own cement and we're gonna, do the own footing for this." And it's like, whoa, what? So it's pretty cool. I learned a lot from that era, which sounds like you did for yourself as well. So from how many years again did you say you do everything?
So I did that for 6.5 years. So from
you did 6 years.
2002 to 2008 when I got hired with Orange County. So I gave myself 5 years. I said if I don't get hired in 5 years, I'm gonna go look for something else. Something else to pad my resume. I'm gonna be an EMT. I'm gonna go do this or that. But the problem is they pay just enough. So, you know what I mean? They pay just enough.
I know exactly.
You're a union member. You have insurance. You have all this stuff, and I'm like, I'm really gonna stop contributing to my retirement to go be an EMT somewhere or whatever.
But isn't that? It's funny you say that, but isn't that? Think about jobs outside of what we do. Our profession as firefighters, we're government workers. Okay, so we all know that government workers, not federally, but at least city and statewide, typically get paid okay. You're not going to be rich, but you won't be poor. You know what I'm saying? You'll be comfortable. You get just enough where it's like they don't want you to leave. You're like, man, I don't know, because of retirement and this and overtime. But I think about that in the private sector. How many people probably get comfortable, right? Because it's like, well, this is good money. It's paying the bills. I got okay health insurance. But are they really happy? I think about that sometimes, even for myself. Yeah. I'm like, oh man, because I'm working on my master's degree right now. I do have a lot of other stuff on the side that I do, but there's a lot of me. I'm like, but the fire department pays, so it pays me enough.
Right.
It's not amazing pay, but it's good pay.
Right.
So it's funny you bring that up. I think about that a lot with people, where people get stuck and comfortable, where they don't want to take a risk and go after the things they want to do or start the business they want to start because they're in a job they may like a little bit, but it pays enough, and I got health insurance. Yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah, I seen that on during my time in training where I would drive home every evening and I'd see the same people stuck in traffic every evening. I'm like, oh, I have a 2-year stint, but you got 30. Like, 30 plus.
I know.
Probably. You're going to be on this 91 freeway for 17 more years.
I thought the same thing when I was in training. Yeah. And I would be done, we're on the 4:10 schedule. And driving home, it's like, dude, these people got to do this for 30 freaking years. I got 2 years and I feel like I'm about to lose my mind.
Yeah, no wonder the divorce rate's so high.
Yeah, man, that's crazy.
Yeah, I don't know how. I had to really, when I'd pull up to my driveway, I had to take a second. Okay, I'm home. Just relax, debrief for a second.
Right.
Turn all that stress off. What I have going on at home, all this stuff. Yeah. Leave my work phone in the car, and then just come home and be present. And just kind of leave it. You have to.
Yeah, man, that's something I've been working on. I would say earlier on in my career, I only have 16, 17 years on total, but I wasn't good at shutting that off. And I think I got caught up in the whole fire department thing where it's like, give back, pick up as much overtime as you can, fire department. But there's a lot of times, in my younger years, I didn't realize how much of the job was affecting me internally. That's not to say I was going crazy, but to see what we see on a shiftly basis, whether it's, the craziness of a fire, the violenceness of people hurting each other, or someone stuck in a car, we got to cut them out, or calling somebody dead, doing CPR on somebody, delivering babies, seeing people with limbs missing, cuts, wounds. It's crazy, right? And then it's like, go home and be a father, husband, son, uncle. And it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
I just worked 2 wild shifts, and I really had to take a step back and kind of do the same thing where now for me, when I come home from shift, I always tell myself, put a smile on your face. Like, you're home. Whatever happened at work, you leave at work and come home, be present with family. And because the reality is, this is a great job. We're fortunate to have it. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be there when we die.
Right.
Like, once we're retired, say we retire early medically, or we retire after 30, and they're going to say, hey, great job. Oh, yeah, here's your cake and ice cream, and bye. They're going to give you a retirement badge, and they're going to fill your seat with someone younger and cheaper.
You instantly become, what's his name?
Right.
That guy, what's his name that used to work here?
Yeah. I think about that all the time, dude. Right? The emails we get about the retired firefighters passing away. And this is not to be mean or cold-hearted, but I'm like, okay, I don't know who they are.
Right.
I mean, I hate to say this, but I never read them. I delete it right away. I'm like, whatever. And that's not that, what I'm saying, but it's like, I don't know him. I have no tie to him besides the fact that we worked for the same fire department. And I see that a lot in our fellow firefighters. They get wrapped up in this whole, I'm a fireman. And I want to say, nobody cares. You realize the average citizen doesn't give a crap about your badge, your uniform, or your latest equipment that you have on, or whatever it is. And so I've learned for myself the importance of being present at home and picking up less overtime and making sure I don't bring work home and making sure I'm open emotionally, not shut down like we're at work. Because that's right. It's true. We have to go from call to call to call. And we, over time, learn to just shut it off. You just go to the call, run it, and do your thing. Hey, sorry, someone died. Hey, sucks, man. Sorry. Load up, guys. We want to get lunch. It's wild, dude.
Yeah, I think I'm along those same lines, but probably what's what I'm looking for? More advanced, or so I compartmentalize everything.
Yeah.
So I have my work, whatever happens at work.
Yeah.
Put it in my box. Then I go home. Then I don't open it. You know what I mean? And so when that's with everything, personal family stuff or whatever, everything, every time I've been hurt or stressed or whatever, it goes in this box, and I completely keep it away from my home.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's good to keep it, keep work at work, at home. But at the same time, you guys got to make sure that you're sharing a little bit and getting some of that stuff off your chest. And because that's something I struggle with, because I come home and I don't tell my wife anything. How was work? It was good.
Right, you keep it general.
Yeah,
no, I feel you.
We got up once, got up twice, whatever.
Yeah. What's helped me though is typically when I get home I will, if I don't have my boards with me at work, usually I actually take my RV to work most of the time because my surfboards and skydiving rig are in there. But I usually will come home and it's go for a run or go surf. That's kind of like my time to like defuse a little bit. And once I put in that kind of like get my heart rate up, work hard, I always feel better after run and I always feel amazing after surfing. That's just kind of like my thing where it feels like it makes me come back to being equal. And I'm like, okay, I'm good.
Yeah.
You know, it's like I worked out that stress a little bit and I'm fine. Now, I don't know what that is for other people. I've just noticed for myself, like that first hour home for me is kind of crucial.
Yeah.
Where it's like, all right, you need to get some movement in and get some of that stress out from work. And then I just feel way more relaxed. I feel more present. I don't feel as anxious. And that's something I've learned through, you know, I use that counseling team international that we have at work. So I found a therapist through them. And that's what they actually suggested. Like, hey, I noticed when you talk about after you exercise or surf or do something you like in the morning, you always feel better. Maybe that's the best thing to do when you get off. You know, it'll just make you better.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
That's probably what I should do.
You got how many kids? You got a lot of kids, dude.
Nah,
got stuff to do.
I got a probably a small amount for being Hispanic, but I don't even.
My man,
I'm an underachiever.
You're stupid.
I have 3.
Okay.
Yeah, I have.
That's pretty good, dude.
3.
For nowadays, it's expensive, and we're in SoCal.
Yeah, dude. Being single income, my wife stays home and she handles everything at home, and I'm super thankful for that. But you really have to live within your means for sure.
Yeah.
Because you still want to give your kids like options and experiences and stuff. So like my kids, they're into music. My daughter, all my kids at one point have had piano lessons. My son has piano lessons right now. My middle daughter, she does saxophone right now. And then,
no way.
Yeah.
Which one? Which sax, do you know?
I don't know.
Okay, because real quick here, Sam too was the saxophone player.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Alto saxophone.
Maybe that's it. I don't know.
It's like the basic one.
I know it's gold. And
It's so funny because I can't picture her playing saxophone. I just look, I'm like, really?
Yeah.
Of all things, why not like violin, dude?
That's boring.
Yeah.
Okay, no, it's not boring. I take that back.
Yeah.
Saxophone.
No, she's really good. She has that ear. So So my oldest, she started when she was 5, and so or 6. I'm sorry. And then my second daughter, she started hearing piano in the house because they're 2 years apart. When she was 4 years old, so she's heard music pretty much her whole life. And so now when she started playing piano, she started doing the Suzuki method, which is kind of like by ear.
Yeah.
I think. And so she just picks it up really quick. So she picks up, like, she got like a little like a plastic recorder from school, and she was messing with it, and she was just jamming all these little songs. She just messes with it, and then she can kind of hear the different sounds, and she can make out a whole song.
That's so good that you're doing that with your kids and you got them started early because it's so good for their cognitive ability for their future, because music, that's how I was raised. I was raised doing music and singing in the car. My mom oldies and piano in the house, take piano lessons. And dude, that for me, that's like, I've always loved music. It's kind of been one of those things where it's always gonna be a part of my life. And it's so unique because there's so many people who aren't musicians, right? And so they look at you like, whoa, whatever. But I've found so much connection through music with other people. A guy at work named Wes Miller. Yeah. I help him with his, stuff when he goes on tours, and then just playing at church when I was a kid with my mom and other people. It's just it's so rad to do that. Now they say it's supposed to make you good at math, allegedly. And I suck at math. So I don't know where they got that one from.
My kids do really well in math. Not because of me. They got that from my wife.
They got it from mom, dude.
But they seem to get it.
Yeah.
With math and stuff. So I don't know if it has to do with music or they just got my wife's genes.
Yeah.
But they do well in school. I don't know. I never did well in school.
I was a terrible student.
Yeah.
Terrible student. That's why I find it so interesting. I'm going after a master's degree right now because I hate school. I hate school, dude.
Yeah.
But I understand the importance of it now. I get it. It is what it is. But
yeah.
Dude, you have a business. that we need to talk about. And this business is pretty much making leather products, right?
Leather helmet shield.
Is that the only thing you make is just leather helmet
That's
shields?
what it's evolved to.
Okay.
So initially, it started off making whatever people wanted, and
Right.
and I would just figure it out, and I would get practice and get good, and for one of our firefighter cadres back in 2016 or so, they asked me for some shields for their cadre.
Yeah.
And so I made them, and I kind of posted on Instagram, and then a guy from Riverside County hit me up like, "Hey, can you make me a shield?" And so I made him a shield, and he's a pretty influential guy over there. And before you know it, his whole crew, and then his battalion, and then like everyone's ordering shields. And so so it's got to the point now where like that's all I have time for. Like so that's
awesome.
People hit me up for a knife sheath or a belt or suspenders, and I'm like, dude, I just can't.
I just can't. Well, I would imagine because most people have the Phoenix Fire helmet, right? The ones that we have. So it's got to be just kind of like a cut and paste besides changing who they work for, maybe if they have the numbering on the front or, the rank or whatever it's going to be. Some have their last names. I don't know. But
and it just becomes more efficient. So if you're working on one thing, you can make it as efficient as possible. So, but if you go from a shield and then someone orders suspenders, you're like, okay, well, let me put all my shield stuff away and get out my suspender stuff. And then, so you can kind of make it almost like a little assembly line.
Right.
Kind of.
Dude, I still have you made me a key ring thing for my belt for work. I still got that, bro.
Really?
Yeah, I still got it. I'm going to be real with you. I've lost it a few times. And then it's just ponied over to my station. I'm like, well, it showed up. Like, cool. So I was saying, I still have the key one you made, bro.
Awesome, dude. Thank you.
Stuff. But you've made me a shield. I've known, dude, you've got shields in Orange County, LA County City, Riverside. What's the farthest? You have to have East Coast too. Right?
Tennessee.
Really?
So Rutherford is the furthest.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now that wasn't for a standard Phoenix helmet, right? That was more of was that like a New York traditional style?
So both.
Both. Okay.
Yeah. So both. So those guys can rock. Apparently, they can rock either or. So I've made for both. So,
which one takes longer? New York style.
It's
all traditional helmet, I should say.
It's all the same, really.
Really?
The thing that varies with time is if they want like the number cut out in the middle, because then you got to stitch around the number, or if they want like a passport, then it's all just additional work. But
so that's stitching. Is that hand stitching?
Everything.
Get out of here.
Everything's hand stitched, hand sewn, hand everything. So so the way it's
dude, that's tedious.
Yeah, it's super tedious, and it takes forever. It takes about 5.5 hours to make one shield, and then
putting in time.
So every time I put a post out, so I hardly ever post, because every time I do a post, I get like 3 or 4 or 5 orders.
Okay.
So I'm like, we really have to look at our books and be like, okay, where are we at?
Yeah.
With our progress, and can we post? Because every time we do it, we get a handful of orders still.
Which is a great problem to have, by the way. Like that makes me very happy for you. Actually, that's because I'm sure there's some people who wish like they could put something up and people come after them.
Yeah.
So that means you're doing something right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. It takes a long time, and I just got tired of the cheap shields. You go to a fire and they just curl over, and like the department issue ones, they're not even leather. They're like pleather or whatever.
Weak, dude.
Weak. I get all my leather from this place in Irvine that he's a like a distributor from his company. His last name is Sapisi.
Okay.
And Sapisi means tannery. So he's from Turkey.
Oh, okay.
And so his family owns a tannery in Turkey, and he's just like the U.S. distributor.
Wow.
So I took our shield, our department issue shield, to him, and he's looking at it, he just starts laughing. He's like, I don't even know what this is. Like, this is I can't even tell you what this is.
Wow.
So like so everything we use is top grain, high quality European leather, hand stitched, like all that stuff. So hand painted.
Yeah.
It's super tedious.
Is this a family ordeal too? Does your family help you out with things behind the scenes?
Yeah. So my wife, she does most of it actually. So
oh wow.
Yeah. So I was doing the shields and talking about like work life work-family balance.
Yeah.
You know, I would go to work my 2 shifts, 3 shifts, whatever I'm working, come home, then work on shields. And so I'd be in the kitchen, I'd have a handful of orders at the complete over my 2 days off. And my kids would be watching TV and they're like, Dad, can we go to the park? Or can we do this? Can we do that? I'm like, no, I can't. I have to finish these shields. And I felt bad, you know? So I'm like, you know what? My kids are only small once. You know, I'm not gonna.
That's a good point.
I'm not gonna do this. You know, I'm gonna just kind of stop making shields and enjoy my kids. And
Yeah.
so I kind of stopped, and then, well, because we didn't finish our conversation about medic school. So just to cut back real quick.
No, you're good.
it leads to this, I promise.
Yeah.
I wasn't successful in medic school, and so. You know, continue doing leather work after medic school. While I was doing these shields, I decided to go back to medic school. And so I told my wife, I go, hey, I'm just going to put a post saying that, hey, I'm not doing shields anymore. I'm going to medic school, whatever. And she's like, well, I'll just do them, you know? And I'm like, she's helped me in each of the processes, but has never made a whole shield herself.
Okay.
So I'm like, well, yeah, if you want to, go for it, you know? So she basically picked up the ball and just kept going with it.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Man.
So now she does.
What a good woman. Dude.
She's amazing. She is amazing. So, and she's so much better than me. So much better,
dude.
Like
you're melting my heart right now. Dude.
She it's funny. She doesn't let me sew anymore. You know, I'll sew something. Like she'll be working on a shield and then she'll go do something. And I'm like, oh, I'm gonna just help her out, you know, and just sew the perimeter of this helmet shield, and then she'll come back and she'll be inspecting it, like these stitches aren't like, you know, all in line or whatever, and I'll just do it, and but she has this very good attention to detail. Okay, you know, so she wants everything to be perfect, and even like the font, like she's like, I don't know, this maybe a little bit crooked. What do you think? I'm like, this is straighter than straight. She's like, no, but I don't like this little speck, you know. And I'm like, just trust me, it's fine, you know. But she has that attention to detail, so she's more organized. She does better work, and you know,
bro, she loves you. Straight up, that is love in action right there. That is so rad. But it's cool that it's also kind of like it's a family ordeal. Mm-hmm. She's helping you out. It's only made you better. Yeah. You know, that's pretty cool, man.
And what's coolest about it is that our kids see it, and so they ask us to help with shields. But if I'm not even good enough, my kids are definitely not good enough, you know. Yeah. But they're like little entrepreneurs themselves. You know, they make like little rainbow loom bracelets, and my one daughter's like super crafty, and they'll make a bunch of product of something, bracelets, necklaces, earrings, whatever, and they'll go with friends around the neighborhood and sell door to door and make money, and then, you know, have a pizza party with their friends and stuff. So yeah, it's cool. So they're seeing that, and they're kind of taking initiative and doing stuff.
You're setting a good example. They're seeing mom and dad work, you know, which is good. You know, they don't seem like they're lazy kids. From everything I've seen, you've told me, and your kids being involved in music, I'm always like, man, you're doing it right. You're raising them right, my friend.
Yeah, I never did any of that stuff growing up. It's just, I guess if there's anything to say about myself is that I'm a good listener. Mm-hmm. And so I take what guys at the station tell me. So like I listen to their advice and I take it to heart and stuff. And like I never played instruments growing up. Someone said, hey man, like you should probably put your kids in music because it's good for their brain. I'm like, okay, like, you know, and then that's pretty much it. Yeah. So super proud of them. And
that's cool. Yeah. What year did you start doing the shield? You said it was 2010, right? Or 11 when we got done with med school? Yeah.
So the way I got started is I got off probation in 2009, and I wanted to buy a custom scabbard. So I had an axe. I wanted a scabbard. Okay. And so I was looking around. I want my name on it. And so I was looking around, and it's just super expensive. If you want anything custom, it's just
especially now with inflation, dude.
Yeah, but I mean back then, I was a bottom step firefighter, you know, like not making a lot of money. So I'm like, there's no way I can afford this, you know. And I'm the kind of person that if someone's doing it, it means it can be done.
Oh, absolutely.
You know what I mean? And so it just takes a little bit of education and just figuring out how things work and whatever. So I'm like, well, I can make a scabbard. If someone can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
And so then I just Googled, how to make, I Googled like leather supply company, and it took me to a place called Tandy Leather. There's one in Baldwin Park. There's one in Costa Mesa also. But I went to the one in Baldwin Park, and I just talked to the sales rep over there and just picked his brain and all this stuff. And he set me up with this box. It's like a beginner box, and it has like your basic tools, some little projects like a key fob, a checkbook cover, and a couple other things. And I was at 64s at the time, and I would go up there to the loft at night, after dishes are done, all that stuff, and everyone's kind of winding down. I'd go up there and I'd just tinker, and I just instantly fell in love with it. And guys around the station would be like, hey, like, what are you doing up there? And then they come up and they'd see that I'm working on leather, and they're like, oh man, can you make me this or can you make me that? And I'm like, oh sure,
Well, give it a shot.
Yeah, I'll give it a shot and
whatever.
And it's funny because ever since then I've never not been back ordered.
Wow.
Yeah, I've never not had an order list, and just I don't, other than Instagram, I don't really advertise.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks for itself. It's funny how sometimes I try to tell people I can't even explain how things just hit.
Yeah,
and even with this podcast, right? Because we don't advertise. I mean, we just have a YouTube, Instagram, and a Facebook, and I pretty much predominantly post everything on Instagram and just let it go into the ether, right? We have our host site, and it's taken on a life of its own. Yeah. I couldn't even tell you why people are downloading around the world. I was just like, okay, like this is something that we record and do out of my home, and it is what it is. Yeah. But dude, if you have something good going, people will gravitate towards it, man. Yeah, and it seems like that's happened for you.
So my thing is, I just try to make the best shields out there. Yeah, just try and do my very best. Like that's kind of something that's been instilled in me as a young kid. My grandpa, before he even knew I wanted to be a fireman, he goes, whatever you want to do, just be the best at it. Mm-hmm. If you want to be he's like, I don't care what you do. He goes, if you're a garbage man, be the best garbage man you can be, all this stuff. So I really took that to heart. And so with the shields, I'm like, okay, like I'm tired of the ones that just look like crud. And
they're terrible.
Yeah, it's horrible. Like, I'm gonna make a shield, and it's not gonna fold over, it's not gonna crumble, it's not gonna do any of these things. And it's just been trial and error. I make a shield, and I just, ask for feedback, and how does it work, and and guys would send me in-service pictures, and I would be inspecting it, and I'm like, hey man, it looks like it's kind of the top is kind of curling a little bit, like, am I seeing this right? Like, oh yeah, like I had to make it do that because I wanted it to curl, and it wouldn't curl, and I had to like literally bend it over to curl. I'm like, okay, but like my heart stops a little bit. I'm like, dude, like, am I making something that is failing? Yeah. So it's been trial and error. I think we have a pretty good product right now.
Now you're, because you've made me one. Mm-hmm. Got my engineer shit all over, but how many layers of leather do you do? Because it does seem it's sturdy and thick, but it's not, that's the best way. It's not a bad thick. Like, it's not overdone. Right. It's like, it's perfect. So how, is there like a stack method you have?
Yeah. So it's 3 layers, and combined they're about just over a 1/4 inch thick. Okay. So, I feel like any thicker than that, it just looks weird.
Too much.
It just looks like too much at the front of your helmet. Okay. So it's a front piece, the middle piece, which has the wording on it, and then the back piece. Okay. And then they're all glued and stitched together. Okay. And the stitching that we use is like real thick, like 1 millimeter inch thick stitching. So it's kind of predominant. It gives it like that look, the certain look that I've kind of, I guess, has become mine. Yeah. Oh yeah. And so like the font, the stitching, all that stuff. So
and you also put I believe you put a stamp of American flag on there. I love that, bro. My man, dude. America, baby. Yeah. That's how I know it's your shield. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that shield.
I've only had one person ask to not have it. Okay. And I kind of like almost didn't want to make it. Right. Like, hey, bro, like
what? This is our country, bro.
Right. Yeah. The shields come with American flag, and if you don't like it, then I guess.
No, you've made a name for yourself, and I've seen your shields around, even doing training with different departments. Excuse me, but how many shields would you estimate you've made since you've started?
Oh man.
You thinking over 200?
Oh yeah.
Well over 200. Okay, let's go. What do you think? Over 600?
So when I'm making the shield, I put that center medallion in the middle.
Yeah.
So I punch out a hole. Like the shield's complete, it's sewn, all that stuff. The last thing is to put the medallion.
Okay.
So I punch out a hole to put the medallion in, and that since it's glued together, that punch out has all 3 layers. It's a punch out of all 3 layers.
Oh, okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And so they're glued together, and I put that thing in the jar.
Oh, you've saved them.
Yeah, so I have a mason jar.
Okay, right on.
I have a mason jar, and it's like 3/4 of the way filled up, and I started doing that probably 3 years ago,
Okay.
or something like that. And before then, I mean, I wasn't even keeping track. I don't know. Well, I'm probably at a couple thousand.
A couple thousand shields.
And I mean, when they take 5 hours to make,
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
that's a lot of time.
It's a big deal.
But that's also a lot of your product in, being used in our profession, which I think is pretty cool, right?
Yeah.
The shield is something very important, has a long-standing history and culture in the fire service. There's a lot of tradition behind it.
Right.
Now, have the helmets changed since, the fire service was founded, the fire brigade in, Boston, New York, and
Right.
Chicago. Yeah, I mean, most of them still kind of have that traditional, helmet. But now we have the newer style, which we still have the shields. We still have our badge. There's a lot of meaning. There's a lot of pride behind it. You see some departments let personnel kind of personalize theirs a little bit. Even put like logos of, if they're Irish, put the, what is it? I'm trying to remember what it is. Shamrock. Thank you. What's up? Thanks for helping me out. The shamrock on there, or I've seen like some helmets have like their favorite football team on there, like their logo and all that stuff. So it has a lot of meaning to it.
Right.
I think it's special. So to know that you've made thousands, they're across the country. Is it possibly international?
Not yet.
Not yet. Okay, cool.
Hopefully one day.
One day, yeah.
Hopefully one
Probably
day.
Mexico. We'll throw Mexico in there. But to know that you have that many shields out and it's
Right.
in our profession, it's something that means so much to people and has, rich heritage and tradition is pretty amazing, actually.
Yeah,
It's pretty cool.
A new tradition that's kind of started is it's been going on with other departments like Riverside County, but with our department, when a probationary firefighter finishes his or her probation, they get issued their helmet shield. And so what crews are doing is that they're ordering a helmet shield from me and they're presenting it to their rookie.
That's cool.
As a rite of passage, like, hey, welcome to the family and stuff. So
Well, and it comes from their crew, which has even more meaning, right? Instead of
Right.
just, not to talk trash on our Chiefs. You guys aren't lazy. But anyways, just kidding. But, it'll mean more than just the
Right.
BC that comes by. And the BC has a lot to do. He's got a whole battalion. It's not very personal, right? You don't have that connection, whereas it's your crew who's trained you.
Right.
They've taught you to become a well-rounded firefighter, someone who works hard, not just in the station, but on duty, fires, rescues, whatever it's going to be. So for it to come from them and it's handmade and it's
Right.
coming, that's something sturdy that they're going to have until they, promote or whatever and keep. That's huge, man.
and it's the forethought, like the department will send you a shield in the mail and say, hey, this is for so-and-so. And, or the BC will have it, just still in the wrapper to give to the,
Right,
to the rookie. But the forethought of contacting me, a month out or whatever and say, hey, we want to get this shield for our rookie, that has some meaning behind it.
That's pretty cool. Yeah, that's really cool. Hopefully more departments adopt that and do it because, it means something to pass probation. There's a lot of work that goes behind
For
it.
sure.
There's a lot of stress, especially with our personnel who come from different departments to work at another one, and now they have families and a mortgage to worry. There's a lot of stress, boy. A lot of stress. So it's cool that, like you said, they have the forethought. There's meaning behind it and it means something to them. So is this something you think you could probably do full time?
I would have to, it would have to be somehow make it more efficient.
Got you.
Because right now it's like handmade. Like,
Yeah, but I see what you're saying.
there's only
Like,
so many hours in the day.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, you got to think about, right? Think about the shield that we're talking about, that just generic, like they give people when they get hired, right? It's cheap. It's done. It's probably done by a machine,
Wow,
stamped,
100%.
done, right? But think about the handmade, the way you do it. It takes longer, but the craftsmanship that comes from that and
Right.
how much sturdier it is and how much, honestly, they look way more beautiful.
Yeah.
It sounds weird to say, right? Oh, a shield's beautiful, but yeah, they look really, you're kind of like, dang, dude, that looks really good.
Thanks.
So I get what you're saying, And it's like, yeah, maybe you could get machines one day, but I feel like it's going to take away from your brand and what you've made.
Right.
That home style, made by hand, almost old school style work that has its own art and craftsmanship behind it, you know?
Yeah, every shield is, touched by our hands and,
Right.
and molded and fit on perfectly. And, there's nothing machine about it. It's we do laser in the font. I used to hand paint it in, and it was just not as clean and crisp as I wanted it to be. So we lasered it in, and then we hand paint that lasering.
Okay.
So and that's just to kind of get it perfect, And I've gotten complaints that, hey, they look too perfect. Like I wanted to have some blemishes because yeah.
Complaining it's too good.
Yeah, they're like,
you can't make firemen happy. They're gonna complain about something.
Yeah, they look at it they look like it's made by a machine. Like I want something that looks like it's not perfect, like it's made by hand. Yeah. I'm like, well, it was. I can assure you, it was made by hand.
Like, sorry, I'm perfecting my craft, guys. Jeez.
Yeah.
My goodness.
Yeah,
dude.
but I can't make firemen happy.
No. Now, you're also a part of a organization that you started with Gabe, which I don't want to go too crazy into it, but I just want to hit on it real quick before we end, because what you guys are doing is pretty phenomenal. You're giving back to the community. You're helping those who want to become firefighters, at least from what I can tell.
Yeah.
So why don't you talk about it? It's called Orange County Bomberos, right? You got the hat on?
Yeah, Orange County Bomberos really started in 2020, but the idea started back in 2017.
Okay.
2016. Gabe and I were both at working in Buena Park at the time. We go into these houses, and we have similar upbringings, and we go on these calls, and we see these kids, and their eyes are like this big, watching the fire engine go by and watching us with our gear and everything, and then we get to these houses, and we see the family situation, and we're like, man, these kids have no chance. Like, you can tell they look up to us, and they probably want to be a firefighter.
Yeah.
But they have no guidance. They have nothing. So we're talking like, man, what can we do to help these kids out? And it's Orange County Bomberos, but it's not for Hispanic. There's other bombero associations out there.
Yeah.
Different departments, and they have different goals or missions, more centered to the Hispanic culture, Hispanic people. Ours is just, if you need help, we're here to help you. So if doesn't matter what race, gender, anything, we want to help if you need it. So, just it's expensive to become a fireman. You know what I mean? Yeah. College, fire tech classes, academy, EMT school, paramedic school, all that stuff. And we have explorers, cadets who, our cadets love the job, want to be firefighters. They age out, right? And they don't have the money to take the next step. They don't have money to go to EMT school, college fire academy. And they end up just, working for their uncle, and the kind of dream is lost there. Yeah. So our mission is to kind of bridge that gap, help them out. Yeah. We have a mentorship program as well. We'll help mentor. And we just
cool.
Raising money to help low-income kids go to college fire academies and get EMTs. And
how many have you sponsored so far? Let's say as a whole, as far as EMT and paying for classes or college fire academy. How many?
So we're a full-fledged nonprofit. So we've been a nonprofit for about a year and 4 months, and we're in the process of picking some candidates right now, so that the checks are to the schools already. So I'm counting them, even though we haven't picked them yet. Yeah. We're at 19.
Wow, 19. Excellent. That's a lot for that short amount of time.
We work hard.
Wow.
We work hard.
Dude, that's excellent, man. That's huge.
Yeah,
that's really huge. I kind of set up this bridge program with the cadet program at our current department, where as long as they have the prerequisites done and they're a cadet with where we're at, they will get first pick. They'll have a slot in the fire academy where I teach at.
No way.
Yeah, I set that up like 3 years ago.
Really?
Not one yet.
Why?
I don't know. I have no clue. I did all this work to do it. No one's done anything about it where we're at, dude. I'm just like, so when you're talking right now, I'm like, I might need to switch this to OC bow barrels. So we're going to have a conversation. I bet you we could switch that over, and we can keep those slots open for your the people you pick and who you know, because that's huge. I think that will impact a lot more lives and create more opportunity, which is huge, because that's the biggest hurdle, right? Getting your fire academy. So I have those slots saved. They haven't picked one person. Jeez. 3 years, dude.
Well, we have a website, orangecountybonebarrels.org. Giving Tuesday is coming up.
Hey,
so
let's go, baby.
If anyone wants some tax write-offs for the end of the year coming up, visit our website. Yeah. But yeah, it's very, cool. Very fulfilling.
Yeah.
Very fulfilling.
Yeah, I would say I'm very, I'm just proud of you and Gabe, dude. And
Lee.
And very impressed with what you guys have done, because it shows you don't need to be some chief or a captain or whatever you think, or rank, because I could care less about your rank. I just care about who you are as a person.
Yeah.
Are you a good person? Are you doing what you need to do? And you guys, all of you work hard, but you also give back. You have your own families. So it should be celebrated and should be respected. So
thanks. Appreciate
well done, man. Keep that stuff up, dude. I think it's huge. Let's have that conversation and see if we can, maybe add you to that bridge program and see what we can do. And also, I think you guys should be a part of First Responders Night of Hope coming March 8th, 2024.
Hey.
Yours truly, concert, worship, message. Yeah. Let's go, baby.
Heck yeah.
We got quite a few sponsors, but I think we should put your name on there.
Okay.
You're giving back to the community. I think that's pretty cool.
Yeah, heck yeah.
We'll talk about it. First Responders Night of Hope, March 8th. Let's go. But anyways, Andrew, thank you so much for coming on a podcast, man, and just hanging out. I told you this was going to be easier.
Yeah, I was super nervous.
Yeah, I know you were.
I was thinking on the drive over here, how you go to an interview, whether it's for firefighter, engineer, whatever, and you're super nervous, and you get, it's like 5 minutes before the interview, and you're like, okay, just push it down. You got to power through this and go, sell yourself.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I had that same feeling coming in here. I was nervous. I was talking to my wife the whole way up here.
Dude, you're a good man.
And so it's definitely a lot less nerve-wracking than I thought it was going to be.
Heck yeah, dude. I'm going to keep getting a couple pictures of you right now.
Perfect.
You did great, dog. Why don't you look towards Sam too real quick? Yeah. Anyways, dude, right on, man. Seriously, you did a great job. You have nothing to worry about. Hopefully you can tell Gabe how easy this is.
Yeah.
I try to tell everybody, because we've had a few people come on that were really nervous. And I'm like, it's just a conversation. I get it. We got cameras, there's lights, microphones. Just be yourself. Actually, that's what sells people, is when you just be you. That's it.
Yeah, I actually forgot the cameras were on a few times. I looked over, I'm like, oh.
Yeah. Yeah. But hey, dude, we do a let's go on 3. Are you ready?
Yep.
1, 2, 3. Let's go. Bye, everybody. Thank you so much for listening in. If you liked what you just listened to, please leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify. Please follow us on YouTube, on Instagram, and on Facebook. And a big shout out to Stephen Clark, our sound editor. He's a huge part of this team that is unseen. It's 89 Barbers, our first sponsor. Look good, feel good, be great. That's 2 locations, Orange, California, and Long Beach, California. Book your appointment online, 89barbers.com. Bye, everybody.